reminder, Josh, I'm going to just project from over here. So
Okay.
Xander, just look in the camera. Just always look over there.
Am I looking like up in that one?
Yeah.
Whichever he says, but just don't look
Yeah.
at me even though I'm going to
Got
be
it.
talking.
No worries.
Yeah, because if they use it somewhere, it'll be.
Yeah, I was like looking at I was like, damn, my eyes look really low.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I guess it is that one, huh?
Yeah.
It is the top one. Okay.
I don't
Do you
see
mind
you guys
shutting the
yet,
door
though.
for me?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay.
It's hard to
Kinda
shut
hard to
fully,
shut.
so you can like just kind of wedge it in there a little bit, or just leave it like that. It's fine. Yeah.
We're trapped in here now.
Classy
It's
joint.
Go anywhere.
What happened there?
Is your video on, Josh?
I'm gonna join right now. Hello. There you are. I guess you can hear me.
I can.
James in there. Can other people hear us?
Rachel Noble, can you put in the chat if you can hear me, please?
I think I unmuted it. We should be good. Great.
I can hear you. Okay.
Excellent. All right, I'm gonna start recording, and then whenever you're ready, take it away.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started. Xander Schauffele, welcome to the virtual interview room at the Northern Trust. You've had a very impressive season, highlighted by 7 top 10 finishes, including your Olympic gold medal not too long ago in Japan. So just thoughts on the season so far and how special that was for you to win the gold in Japan.
Yeah, it's been so far so good. Obviously, good feels in the last couple of weeks in Tokyo. So, I mean, I think overall, season kind of feels like a blur. I guess it always does at the back end of it. Just happy to be here in the playoffs and looking forward to a good run.
Obviously, yes, the playoffs are starting this week. We're here at Liberty National Golf Club for the first event of the FedEx Cup playoffs. What do the FedEx Cup playoffs mean to you? You've had good success out here before. We're back this year. Just thoughts on entering the next 3 weeks?
It's sort of, I think, what us pros look forward to. I mean, just making it to the playoffs means you kept your card for starters, and then moving forward, I mean, I think it's probably the most cutthroat golf that we can have in terms of pressure, and besides the majors and the players, which fortunately count towards the FedEx playoffs, it's just the most fun and pressure-packed golf you can have. So we always have a lot to play for, and it kind of all comes down to this.
Great. We'll go ahead and open it up to questions. If you can go ahead and enter your question in the chat, I'll call on you, and then if you would turn on your video and your audio, you can go ahead and ask Andrew your question. So we'll go ahead and wait for somebody to put their question in the chat, please.
It says that Doug and Rex have a question. I don't know why I can barely hear here.
There goes Doug.
Anyone here, Rachel? Over, anyone?
I can kind of hear you, not very well.
What's the air conditioner?
There you go. I can hear you a little better.
Sorry about that.
You're good.
So, Xander, when you talk about kind of the cutthroat nature of this time, and blah, 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 are you thinking internally more about positioning for the FedEx Cup or the Ryder Cup? It seems like there's almost, for some people, 2 races going on at once. What do you think is on your mind more?
I mean, I say first things first. You just want to position yourself in the best way possible for East Lake. I was sort of pretty far back, and I played really well at East Lake, and I found myself finishing second. So I made it very, apparent to myself, even if I play really good golf, it's not enough to come back if you're too far back starting the week, which is sort of how it should be. Whoever has a good playoffs or a good year should be ranked high enough, and moving along from there. But there's obviously a second ranking being run. I'd say for me, if I can just handle the playoffs really well, then the Ryder Cup will take care of itself. It's kind of day by day. And fortunately, the FedEx is before the Ryder Cup, so that's that.
Right, and if you were to be really honest with yourself, when there are times like this of positioning for this cup, that cup, whatever, and you're not thinking about that, you're only thinking about the golf. Is that true? Do you think there's players that could block that out? And have you ever caught yourself thinking outside the ropes, if you will?
Yeah, for sure. I think just recently in Tokyo, I was already thinking ahead, of what I'd look like with a gold medal on before I even had it. And that worked out well. And I think, I thought to myself that it's okay to think ahead. Like I said, I have been doing a little bit of reading. Sort of a quote that stood out to me at one point was just saying that it's natural to think in advance. It's just your ability to sort of come back to the present and lock in is sort of what matters. So I think everyone out here, if you get off to a hot start on Thursday, or if you have a low round on Saturday, you're going to be thinking about how well you can position yourself moving into Eastlake. But it doesn't really matter until you sort of handle the deal. So for me, instead of sort of trying to bury that thought and not think about it, I just sort of allow it and then try and come back to life whenever I can or as soon as possible.
Great, thank you.
All right, Rex Hoggard, Golf Channel, has a question.
Xander, I'm guessing you've been home since Memphis and then back to here?
Yeah, I went home for a week.
Is the gold medal at home? Did it find a home somewhere in your house?
It's Pops has it. I can't get it off of him right now. I had a couple media things to do with the medal, and then I got a phone call shortly after that asking for the medal back. So he is taking good care of it as we speak.
And I know you mentioned Eastlake and your runner-up finish from a few years ago. I should know this. Where did you start the week at Eastlake on the list? Do you remember?
I think I was at 3 under or 4, whatever 11th place is. I think that's what I kind of went in, or I don't know, something like that. I was pretty far back. I was like 6 or 7 shots back, and I think I actually won Eastlake by 3 shots, the actual tournament, even though it doesn't count for anything. I think I actually won that by 3 and still lost. So there's that.
I guess the end of my question would be then, what lesson did you learn from that? Don't start 11th or positioning yourself like you just talked about?
Yeah, it's tricky. It's a playoffs, and you're trying to, it is 3 weeks in a row, which is kind of nice. So if you do get off or start playing some good golf, you can there's some continuation there, but you just have to position yourself really well. Like Eastlake is a really hard golf course, and it's so hard to really beat the field by a lot. So, it's like I don't see Eastlake being a course where you can kind of win by like 7 or 8. I mean, I think everyone's capable of doing it, but it's an interesting one, or it's a difficult course to do that on. So, I think you just have to position yourself as best as possible.
Thanks, Anna.
I think Fergie has a follow-up question.
See if you can play. Nice, Ferguson.
Hi, Sam. Just kind of a follow on that. We had a case a couple of years ago with Patrick, who went into the Tour Championship as the number 2 seed, had a stinker of a tournament, happens, and winds up like 28 in the FedEx Cup. Is there sense of fairness there? That you can play well in the postseason, have your stinker at Eastlake, and it cost you about $2 million? Or have you guys talked about that?
I think you're talking about Cantlay. Yeah, we have not talked about that, but I do. I know that we're on a similar page in terms of having sort of rewarding play kind of throughout the season. I think the Comcast is a really good way of doing it. I think he dipped into that pool this year, which is obviously a nice little bonus just as before the playoffs start. But yeah, that's a tricky one. He obviously had a really good season, and I know the playoffs is supposed to be cutthroat, and I mean, going from 2nd to 28th, I didn't know that happened, but that is pretty cutthroat in my book. That's kind of a harsh penalty for having an off week. So I don't know. It's an interesting one. I'm sure people are still discussing whether it's the best format for us, but it is what it is for now, and until it changes, then we just have to deal with this one.
Who do you think's discussing it? The locker room or the people that actually matter?
I'd hope both. More so the people that matter. You know, we're just out here playing, and we're supposed to be taken care of. So hopefully the people that matter are talking about it.
All right, and then one last thing I had for you, Xander, on the other cup. Do you like the idea? I know it's been a different years with the pandemic, but do you like the idea of 6 captains fixed? Do you think that's okay, or do you think it's too many?
I don't know. This is my first Ryder Cup, so I think what was it normally? Is it 8 or 9 or?
Well,
It's
let's
8
make it
8 and 4. I don't know. I think it's an interesting year, and I think because it's such a long year, I'd say 6 is probably fair. You obviously want to pick guys that are like in good form coming up. You know, I'm in the last position right now, and let's say, you know, if I won a lot 2 years ago, I would have positioned myself really well. But if I'm playing really bad now and fall outside of it, you know, it's kind of a tricky situation. So I mean, I think there's really no harm and no foul with the extra 6 picks in this kind of interesting long COVID break.
Okay. Thank you. All
Yep.
done.
Thank you. I have one final question for you, Xander. We have the 2021 Amherst Award champion coming in next after you, Matthew Wolf. Can you talk a little bit about what the Amherst Award Challenge means to players? I know you're an ambassador of Aon, and how it affects your decision making and your strategy throughout the season.
Yeah, it's a fun challenge. You know, I think a lot of guys probably weren't too aware of the challenge. It's a cool thing Aon puts on for both the men and women, awarding $1 million to the winner of the sort of risk reward challenge hole. And Matt played a very limited schedule this year and was still able to win. So you can kind of tell he obviously played those holes. They're printed in our yardage book now, which kind of helps versus us trying to find it in the locker. But he played those holes very well, and he was rewarded the $1 million. So him and his caddy had a good strategy for the par 5s.
That's great. All right, thank you, Xander. We appreciate you coming in today.
All right, thanks.